I signed up for a boudoir photo shoot for myself about a decade ago, and I was really nervous, but I thought that it would be a fun gift for my husband. I was literally shaking in my boots, but I went through the experience and it ended up being, I'm not exaggerating, like a really transformational experience for me. I walked out of that photo shoot ready to show up in my life in bigger and better ways. And I realized that I wanted other women to have that same experience. At my studio, it's not you have to look a certain way. It's come to my studio just as you are, and we're going to celebrate you today. At my studio, it's not you have to be a certain size, you have to look a certain way. Instead, it's come, be pampered, enjoy, and you choose how you want to look. You choose the how you want to present yourself, right? How much skin you show is up to you. Who you show these pictures to is up to you. So in that way, I really think that boudoir can be a way to feel confident, empowered, step out of that comfort zone and break some of those patriarchal ideals that sometimes hold women back.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Goal Getter podcast. This week, we're joined by Liz Hansen, a photographer, educator, and founder of Chicago Boudoir, a photography studio dedicated to helping women feel confident in their bodies, relationships, and lives. Since opening her studio in 2018, Liz has photographed over 2,000 women and built a career rooted in empowerment and vulnerability. With features on TEDx, NPR, and more, she's not just capturing beauty, she's helping women reclaim it for themselves. I am so excited for this conversation. Liz, welcome to the pod.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
All right, so let's start from the beginning. Where are you from? Where did you grow up as a kid? And what did you think your career would be when you were growing up?
I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. My dad was a government worker in the 80s. I grew up in a big family. I'm one of six kids. And I actually wanted to be a photographer when I grew up. But I was kind of derailed from that and told that's not a real job. And so while I did study art in college, I became a teacher. I was an ESL teacher, English as a second language. And I really loved that, but I always kept coming back to photography. When I had my two daughters, I wanted to take pictures of them constantly. I was obsessed with my babies. And I took some photography classes at a local community college. Pretty soon, people were asking me to take pictures of their babies. And for a while, I was what I call a regular photographer. So I was doing weddings, events, families, babies, and I did love that. But starting in 2018, I specialized just in boudoir. And if you've never heard of boudoir, it's kind of a fancy French word that just means a woman's bedroom. But what I do as a boudoir photographer is that I create a safe space for women to come and create sexy, sensual photos of themselves and to feel confident and empowered.
That's super cool. I mean, that caught our attention immediately when we were initially emailing back and forth. So why focusing on women, and more particularly, why this like boudoir photography? Why do you think it's so important for women to have this space?
Well, I signed up for a boudoir photo shoot for myself about a decade ago, and I was really nervous, but I thought that it would be a fun gift for my husband. So I signed up, I went in for it. I was literally shaking in my boots. I was so nervous. I mean, I was just like, I can't believe I'm doing such a thing, right? Because I had kind of grown up in an environment that taught me that good girls, and I'm putting that in quotes, good girls don't do stuff like that. Good girls don't pose for sexy photos, right? But I went through the experience and it ended up being, I'm not exaggerating, like a really transformational experience for me. I walked out of that photo shoot ready to show up in my life in bigger and better ways. And I realized that I wanted other women to have that same experience. So I opened up a studio in 2018 where I would just focus exclusively on this, helping women feel confident in their bodies, feel empowered, and have this kind of transformational experience that I had had myself.
I really love this. I've never heard of something like this, so I think it's super interesting direction to focus on women empowerment, and I just love it. But were there any early doubts in starting your studio? Was there pushback from the community or other people? It's a very unique and kind of almost sensitive topic, I guess. Was there any fears in your mind starting out?
100%. Many fears and a lot of pushback. So you're right. Boudoir, taking sexy photos of women, like it's still kind of a taboo business to be in, right? Like this is not, I'm not selling chocolate chip cookies and t-shirts here, right? Like I'm selling something, I'm basing my business around something that a lot of people have a lot of feelings about. Women, women's bodies, nudity, sensuality, sexuality, like these are big topics and some of them are sensitive and taboo, like you said. So when I started my business, most people were like, "You're doing what?" And then also like, "You can't make money doing that. Like, you shouldn't. Everyone has an iPhone. There's no point in opening up a photo studio."
Hmm.
And I understood that because it is true. Everyone does have an iPhone. But what I do is more than just take pictures, right? I've created this space and this experience for women to really experience something. And I think, especially after the pandemic that we all went through in 2020 plus, right? Women, especially, and all kinds of people are craving experiences. They're craving going to do something that they can feel, that they can really, we want to get off our screens. We want to do something. So, Boudoir gives you that opportunity to carve out one day for yourself to really celebrate you and your journey.
Yeah, I think you could not have said it better. I think it's more than the photograph that you get in return. It's just the whole experience, right? And you just said it yourself. It's still a taboo topic, right? So what do people often misunderstand about boudoir photography?
So, a lot of people think that this is in some way exploiting women or doing something that is anti-feminist, right? Because people tell me, well, you're just playing into the patriarchy's hand in the sense that, like, you're reinforcing beauty standards. You're reinforcing that women's bodies are available for men to look at and enjoy. And I can understand this perspective, but what you have to understand is that the way I try to do this at my studio, I think flips that script, right? So at my studio, it's not you have to look a certain way. It's come to my studio just as you are, and we're going to celebrate you today. At
Mm.
my studio, it's not you have to be a certain size, you have to look a certain way, you have to be photoshopped until you look a certain way. Instead, it's come, be pampered, enjoy, and you choose how you want to look. You choose the how you want to present yourself, right? How much skin you show is up to you. Who you show these pictures to is up to you. So in that way, I really think that boudoir can be a way to feel confident, empowered, step out of that comfort zone and break some of those like patriarchal ideals that sometimes hold women back.
I love that. I think you kind of touched on my next question there, but what's the psychology behind that? You said you create this space. So was there a specific psychology or approach that you really dove into and thought deeply about before opening your studio?
So, do you know how sometimes when you go to a restaurant or a bar or even a library or a store, and there's like either feminine or masculine kind of energy about the products or the decor, right? I want it
Definitely.
to be so I'm aware of that, and I wanted to create a very like female centric space. So I have a 100% female staff, right?
Mm,
And when you come to our studio, the first thing that you do is we tell you that you don't have to really do anything. You don't have to know what you're doing. You don't have to practice beforehand. Like, we're just going to take care of you from start to finish. That includes getting your hair and makeup done right at the beginning. So I have a beauty team to get you camera ready. Then we're going to select wardrobe that will highlight your personality and what you want to look like in your pictures. Then when you step into the studio, we're going to show you exactly what to do and how to pose. You don't have to know what to do with your face or your hands or your feet. Like, this is my job is to show you what to do and to coach you through this and to talk you through all of this. And then right after your photo shoot, before you even leave the studio, I do something cool that most places don't, which is I show you a slideshow of your pictures right
Mm.
then and there before you even leave. First off, because I want you to have the instant gratification of seeing your pictures. And second, because I want you to see your pictures, see how fabulous you are with no Photoshop and no filter. I want you to look at those pictures on the screen that we took 10 minutes ago and say, wow, I look fabulous. I love these pictures. I don't even need a filter. Now, listen, if you have, a blemish that you want me to take off, a bruise on your arm that you don't want to have immortalized in your pictures for the rest of your life, of course, I'm going to Photoshop that out for you. But I want you to have that moment to sit and see those pictures and appreciate you, your body, your life, and your journey.
I love
I love
that. I
that.
bet there's so many amazing moments right after the shoot where you're just standing there with your client looking at these photos. I can just imagine that's a very powerful moment.
And often they're tears.
Yeah.
There are women who tell me, I've never seen myself like this. I never have imagined myself to be beautiful, to be sensual, to be sexy, to be desirable. But that's what I want women to know. You are all of those things. You are brave. You are valuable. You are worth celebrating. I'm just here to turn my lens on you to show you that.
I love
I
that.
love that. That's very close to home. I love that so much. So you mentioned you did one 10 years ago, right? For yourself, for your husband. So, and now you're working in that field. Has the industry changed since you started? Like, what trends or shifts are you noticing now?
The industry has changed a lot. I think in the last 10 years, boudoir has gone from being a little bit fringe, maybe no one's heard of it, to if you Google, there is likely to be a boudoir photographer in your city now. It's still not like totally mainstream, but there are a lot more opportunities, a lot more photographers offering it. And I love that. I love seeing that it is becoming more acceptable and more available to people. I would also say that there's really been a push recently in our industry to be more inclusive, right? To not just shoot thin young women and show those on the website, right? We want to celebrate all kinds of bodies, ages, diversity, colors. And I always love to say sexy is not a size, right? Sexy is not a size. You do not have to be a certain number to be sexy. Sexy is a vibe, right? So come as you are. I would love to take photos of you.
I love that. And yeah, I definitely saw that looking at your website when we were first chatting over email. And I noticed how this wide variety of women there were on your site. And I think that's just beautiful, represented all together on one site for everybody to see. I think that really represents what you're trying to do here. So kudos to the website.
I mean, I have people who tell me all the time, the only reason I called you is because I saw some women that kind of look like me on your site.
Yeah.
I didn't think see, it's such a common phrase for women to say, like, I didn't think I could do this. I only thought other women could do this. But when it's hard to be what you can't see. And I
Hmm.
think this applies to a lot of areas in life. Like it's hard to start a business if you don't know any entrepreneurs. It's hard to be a mother without a role model. It's hard to step into a manager role if you haven't had someone mentor you. It's hard to view yourself as desirable and beautiful if you're not seeing bodies like yours presented as art and beauty as well, right? And so I think we just have a real responsibility as artists, as boudoir photographers, to show all kinds of bodies, all kinds of people, and to not limit beauty to like narrow societal beauty standards.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of marketing agencies. Nat and I both work in the marketing world, but I think there's a lot of companies out there that should take some tips from this conversation going forward with their marketing campaigns because I know a lot of people don't think like that. And that's where they really miss the mark because that's just not how society views the world today. So that's really awesome. I'm curious how you balance kind of such a high end experience with also keeping things intimate and empowering.
I mean, it's a really interesting question. So, boudoir in and of itself is a luxury experience, right? No one's ever died because they didn't have a photo shoot taken. It's an extra. It's luxury, right? Um, but what I want to what I want people to feel when they come to my studio is not just that I have a beautiful studio with chandeliers and furnishings and stuff, but that I'm there with them and we're in a very intimate like space, right? Like I consider it an honor that people are willing to, be so exposed both emotionally and physically with me. And so I spend a lot of time building trust and letting people feel safe. And to me, safety, trust, intimacy, that's the real hallmark of a luxury experience.
I love that. And you talk about helping women feel confident in their bodies, relationships, and lives, but how do you see like these things connecting? Because one may think that, sure, I feel like right after these pictures, I feel confident about my body, but what does this have to do with my life outside this session?
I think the way we think about ourselves and our bodies and how we talk about ourselves and our bodies actually affects so much of our lives. When we are able to speak kindness and love to ourselves, that is when we are able to pour that out to others, right? I think a lot of the hatred and terrible things that happen in the world come from people who have self-hatred, right? Like it's easy to hate others when you hate yourself, and it's easy to love others when you love yourself. I mean, it's not always quite that simple, but it's a lot starts from within, right? When you can look in the mirror and say, I am valuable, then you can look at others and say they are valuable. We could avoid so much of this dehumanization, this demonization of others, people who don't look like us, people who don't speak the same language as us, people, if we could see them as fellow humans. And that only starts when we value ourselves, right? So as women, we spend so much time saying, I hate my body, I hate my tummy, I hate this, I hate that, right? And that kind of self-talk, I think, reflects back on how we treat others, how we show up, how we care for ourselves, how we care for our bodies, how we care for others. I truly think like peace on earth is going to start from within and like loving ourselves first. And then that peace and love can be shown to the rest of the world. So, yeah, is a boudoir photo shoot going to change the world? No. But women who love themselves and know their value, they can change the world.
Definitely. Is this something you kind of see automatically? I know we touched on this before as well in another question, but after the shoot, you're standing there, you're looking at the photos. Do you see almost an instant change in your clients' self-confidence walking out that door? Do they walk out with their heads held a little bit higher?
I mean, absolutely. So women come to my studio for all kinds of different reasons. I have some women who come into the studio for happy reasons, like they're having their first baby, they're marrying the love of their life, they are celebrating their 30th or their 40th or their 50th birthday, right? And they are happy and they're celebrating, and this is like a cherry on top to help them feel even better, right? But some women are also coming to my studio for more difficult reasons, right? I have women who come because they've gotten out of a domestic violence relationship and they're celebrating their freedom. I have women who have a breast cancer diagnosis, or I have women who have experienced a loss of a loved one and they want to celebrate being alive and kind of hold on to that, let's live now while we can. And I just find no matter what the reason you are in there for a boudoir photography session, like there's always a reason to feel joy. And I love being a part of that.
That's so powerful. And you just mentioned it. I mean, you've photographed over 2,000 women. That's insane. How has that shaped you as an individual?
It has been the journey of a lifetime, honestly. I have loved spending so much time in it. So everyone who comes to my studio is there for about 3 to 4 hours, right? For the full experience, the hair and makeup, the photo shoot, the photo reveal. So during that time, I really get an opportunity to get to know these women, hear their stories. It's a little bit like a little bit therapy, right? People reveal things to me. They share some things with me about their life, and it truly feels like I've had like this window into humanity a bit, right? Like I have learned that everyone has a story. Everyone has hardship. It doesn't matter if you walk in and you're 20 or 40 or 50 or whatever size or shape you are, you have a history, you have a story, you have something to share, you have heartache, you have grief, you have joy. And just being a witness to that has really changed me and opened up my eyes to kind of, just giving everyone a little bit of grace because you don't understand their, walk a mile in their shoes, right? Like, that has really, and that's something that I really hope to carry with me at all times, to always remember that you just don't know someone's story from looking at them.
Definitely. It's such an important reminder for everybody that you never know what's going on behind that smile on somebody's face. Do you, I think everyone has a different definition of the word feminism. Do you see this as a feminist act from your point of view?
Yeah, taking boudoir photos is definitely a feminist act. So, I mean, it's interesting because we live in like a patriarchal kind of like framework society, right? Like for hundreds, thousands of years, men have been given positions of power over women,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have a lot of traditions. We don't even think about them anymore. Women taking a man's name at when they get married, getting walked down the aisle and being given away as property. Like we still even engage in some of these practices, even if we don't even really know where they came from or why we're still doing them, right? So it's impossible for like boudoir to exist outside of that, right? We're all still a part of that in some ways. And I think it's important as a boudoir photographer, for me to very intentionally create a space and experience and photos that allow women to be seen and to choose to kind of reclaim how they are seen and viewed, right? And to me, claiming that is like an ultimate act of feminism, right? To say, I decide how I want to be seen, not just like I'm here for the male consumption, right? It puts women in the driver's seat. And I think that to me, that's what feminism is letting women have choices and power. And boudoir says, I'm here, I'm making choices, I've got power. So yeah, absolutely. I just think it has to be done in a certain way. Boudoir can be done in an anti-feminist way too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So I'm very careful in my language and my experience to try to make it the default is patriarchy, right? So we have to work hard to not make it that.
of course, of
Definitely.
course. What advice would you give to women who are struggling to feel at home in their own bodies or to just feel confident overall?
I mean, if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling like you don't love your body, you're not feeling confident, you are not alone. I would say actually most women feel this way because there's a lot of reasons, but there's a lot of messages out there telling us that we're not enough, that we're broken, that we need to change, we need to buy products to look different, right? And the first step for me is to move away from body negativity to body neutrality, right? So if you're waking up every day and you're like, I hate my body, I hate my body, I hate my body, just trying to switch that to, I love my body, I love everything about it, is too big of a leap. Your brain's not going to believe it, and you're just going to immediately reject those thoughts, and it's not going to work, and you're going to be like, I don't believe that, right? So instead, I recommend trying to move from I hate my body to I have a body. Okay.
Mm.
Just change that one letter from hate to have. Once you start saying, you know what, I have a body and I have feet and they let me walk around. I have legs, they take me interesting places. I have a tummy that lets me laugh and I have a tongue that allows me to taste good food and I have shoulders that allow me to bear burdens and arms that allow me to give hugs, right? Then you can start appreciating your body for what it does and worry less about what it looks like, right? Your body it does not exist just to please other people or to be some kind of ornament for other people to look at. Instead, it is this like powerful instrument and machine that allows you to live your life. It allows you to do things, it allows you to love and care for others. So when you can appreciate your body more for what it does and less about what it looks like, that is going to move you from that negativity to that neutrality. And if you just stay in neutrality, I have a body, you don't even have to get to I love my body. It's okay. You can do
Yeah.
so much with I have a body that you can't do with I hate my body. So I'm not even mad if you never get to I love my body. That's fine. Stay in I have a body for a long time. That is a place of power.
I totally agree. And before I asked the last question of our interview, I have a really good friend who's a third grade teacher. And it's a really interesting trend. She's been teaching third grade for about 4 years now. And she said even just over those 4 years, she's seen social media affect that age group more and more to the point where they're coming into school saying they don't love their body. And I think that's terrifying that we're raising an entire generation who is growing up on social media, seeing these ads directed towards them, telling them that they need makeup at 8 and all these different things. I don't know if you just saw the Skims advertisement, the campaign that just came out called Back to School. It was supposed to be all these realistic high schoolers, but they're like all of them models. There was no diversity whatsoever. I think it's dangerous in a world today to be putting these things out for such a young audience. And I really applaud you for doing the work that you're doing. And I think it's super important. It's only going to get more important as that generation continues to grow up in this newfound advertisement world that we're living in.
I have two teenage daughters, and I can tell you the social media, the internet, yeah. And I mean, it's interesting too that with such a powerful force with the internet and social media, that some of these kind of what I feel like old ideas about what women are being
They're
reinforced
coming back.
in
Yes.
some ways too, you know? And I want my daughters, of course, to grow up feeling empowered and confident and that they can conquer the world, they can do anything, and that their job is not just to sit around and look pretty, you know?
Correct. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that more brands need to, this is not the conversation we're having today, but more brands need to sit down and have that conversation. And I think your photography is a great step in that direction to support that view of women empowerment continuing along after hundred years of fighting against patriarchy. And, there's still so much more to do. And I think you're doing an amazing job continuing that fight. Um, Amazing. Okay, last question that we wrap up every interview with, super fun. Um, if your life had a theme song, what would it be and why?
Okay, I'm a big musical theater fan. Like, I love musical theater, and there's a
So does
musical.
Nat. Nat is like the
Oh,
biggest
okay.
musical
Yeah.
theater.
Okay, I don't know if you've seen a show called Waitress, but it's with Sarah
Yeah.
Bareilles, and there's a song called She Used to Be Mine.
Hmm.
And this song so it's a song about a woman who has like been in different phases and chapters of her life. And the way she's singing it, she's kind of longing for another chapter, but I just also take it as recognizing that we live 9 lives in one life, right? Like
Mm,
I was, a stay-at-home mom, and now I'm an entrepreneur, and those are two very different like roles. And I can sing She Used to Be Mine, thinking back on some of the old roles I've had and kind of having some nostalgia for that and also appreciating where I am today. So I think a lot of women can relate to the idea of being in completely different places in different chapters of your life as you have different jobs, as your children grow up, as you have different relationships. And every time I hear that song, there's just something about it that like really strikes me as a woman. I know that song was written by a woman and it is sung by a woman. And to me, it just encapsulates a lot about what it feels like to be a woman moving through life.
I love that. That's great. We haven't gotten that one yet, and Nat is a huge
A
musical fan
huge
as well.
fan.
So
Yeah.
I haven't seen Waitress on Broadway. I would love to, but I have seen there's a film adaptation. So good. Check it out. It's on
Yeah,
HBO.
yeah. Yeah, I will check that out. I haven't seen the show either. I've been dying to, but I've heard the soundtrack and I know the storyline, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's moving.
Yeah.
awesome. All right. Well, Liz, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story. Is there anything else you want to add as we wrap up? And one more question for you. If women are hesitant about booking a session with you, what do you want them to know and where can they find you?
So listen, I'm not here to talk anyone into doing a boudoir photo shoot if they don't want to do it. But if you kind of like are curious about it, you're thinking about it, I would just say follow that curiosity, see what it's about. Even if you're not, if you're listening to this, you're probably not in the Chicago area. My studio, of course, is the Chicago Boudoir Photography Studio. But Google a boudoir photographer near you and just give them a call. You'll be able to see a lot on the phone call if this is a photographer that you want to work with. See if you vibe with them, and they will, I guarantee you, help talk you through some of the fears and concerns that you might have about doing something like this. I have seen it all at this point. I can answer any questions you have. Nothing is too weird. Nothing is too off the wall. I'd be love to chat with you. Even if you're not in the Chicago area as well, I'd love for you to stop by my website, which is chicagoboudoir.com. Boudoir is a little bit of a tricky word to spell. It's BOUDOIR.com, because I have some free stuff there that you can download. I have like a free ebook with printables with body affirmations. I've got a quiz you can take to discover your unique boudoir style. So check it
Fun.
out. Even if you're not in the area, I'd love to connect with you.
Wonderful. That's awesome. For our listeners, we'll make sure to tag Liz's information for you in the episode description. So make sure to go check her out. And of course, make sure to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok at the Goal Getter Podcast for updates and great content. And don't forget to tune in. We have bi-weekly episodes you will not want to miss. Thanks, everyone. Bye.